A milestone in Nigeria's history is the role the June 12, 1993 presidential elections played in underscoring the value of protecting and preserving democracy. And Democracy Day 2024 was a perfect opportunity for a reminder. That's our focus on Special Report.
Late
Chief M.K. Abiola's family eulogizing his legacy as one that sets a template for proponents of democracy.
He was one of the greatest philanthropists that we have seen in this country. But nevertheless, he was not satisfied with his own personal achievements or his personal wealth. He wanted the best for everybody in Nigeria. And he sacrificed everything that he had. His wealth, his family, his time, and ultimately his life for us in Nigeria. And today we are here to honor him. We are here to pray for his soul. As Muslims, we believe that we can continue to pray for him and that these prayers will uphold him wherever he is. We are also here today celebrating 25 years of unbroken democracy in this country. This was what our father fought for. This is what he would have wanted in his lifetime. And I think this is the biggest legacy that we as Nigerians have been able to give to him, that he did not fight in vain, that the people who fought with him in 1993 went on to accomplish what he started, and that we who were not in the fight in 1993 continue to uphold what we believed in and are continuing to deliver to our people.
Democracy Day, June 12, was a platform for some to air their grievances. Lawyers took to the streets on Democracy Day to stage a walk promoting the values of democracy in the face of the harsh economic climate.
We must continue to keep and preserve Nigeria's democracy. The worst of democracy is better than the best of the military regime. But the fact remains that people are not happy, the economy is biting hard, and our leaders must do things to make sure that the average Nigerian is happy and the average Nigerian is able to compete favorably in this economy. The economy is biting, inflation is rising, but our leaders must listen. Our leaders must listen to our people and make sure that living in Nigeria, is what are well, and Nigerians do not continue to japa.
Why are professionals leaving the country to other countries? Basically, it's because they can't leave. Nobody can survive under the economic situation that we've been put in. Our currency has devalued. I'm 60. I'm over 60. If I was younger, I would leave, because I really don't know how the money I thought I had has really devalued and is nothing anymore. I really call on our government to really look into our economic situation. The country is groaning. We can't eat. Most lawyers in my law firm eat once a day. It's pathetic. And I wonder what we're doing and how we can restore democracy. So this work, in a nutshell, is to talk to the government and to talk to all of us, that we all have a role to play in ensuring that the dignity of Nigeria and Nigerians are restored.
To recognize the presence in our midst this moment.
It was a colorful day as Nigerians gathered at the Eagle Square, Abuja, for the Democracy Day parade. Those in attendance include the leadership of the National Assembly, the Chief Justice of Nigeria, cabinet members, military chiefs and students. And at the ready are troops for the parade.
In absolute deference to his exalted office.
As the president arrives, he proceeds to inspect the guard. However, he slips and quickly is helped by his orderlies and proceeds with inspection.
A brief look of this resume of His Excellency Mr. President. Next will be the resume of the ADC to His Excellency Mr. President. Now the microphone swings over to my co-announcer, Captain Godfrey Anebia. Captain Abakwa, please. Thank you.
It was a time for the March Past, led by members of the Armed Forces of Nigeria and other security agencies.
She hails from a popular local government area of Benue State. With your patience, MIT is highly and the period is blessed with a child.
followed by the cultural display to portray Nigeria's diversity. A portrait of the president was unveiled, said to be the world's largest painting portrait on canvas.
September 1997, just from two local government areas of Kebbi State. Jafar gives admission into the prestigious Nigerian Defense Academy.
The president then signs a Democracy Day register.
Transfer. One is to salute the dignitary. Traditionally in the military, you have...
Some who attend speak of Nigeria's democratic journey.
Nigerians should learn that to build this country requires a lot of sacrifices. People had sacrificed for this entity called Nigeria, even in the name of advancing democracy.
We are an emerging democracy, and we are on a learning curve. And we have democracies that are over 900 years. India, we're just 25 years in this present one, and we'll keep learning. But the fact is that democracy is the best form of government for any people.
Like the new national anthem says, a country of equality. But most importantly, we should find a way to make sure the dividends of democracy is being, felt or given to the people, to the citizens. That's the most important thing, and that's the beauty of democracy.
As 25 years of democracy is recognized, the future remains the true test of its durability. It is Democracy Day, and members of the Patriots are gathered under the umbrella of what they call the June 12, 2024 Democracy Day rally, with the theme Securing the Future of Nigeria Through a New Democratic People's Constitution. These eminent Nigerians take turns to bear their minds on the subject matter.
This is the whole idea, that the June 12 becomes not just a date or an occurrence, but a philosophy, a moment in the history of this country that puts people together to chart the course towards a more perfect nation.
Next to speak is Chief Emeka Anyaoku, former Secretary General to the Commonwealth and former Vice President of the World Bank, Dr. Obi Ezekwesili.
The new constitution should involve fewer and more economically viable federating units. It should be made by a constituent assembly of persons to be democratically elected on non-political party basis. I would say of 3 persons per each of the 36 existing states and 1 person from the Federal Capital Territory.
I want to be seen clearly to endorse the necessity for the commencement of a new constitution with the National Assembly and the presidency moving, because we have to move according to what the constitution lays out. They must take that move, because if they don't, they want an unmanaged chaos.
Delivering his speech, former Foreign Affairs Minister General Ike Nwachukwu calls on Nigerians to commit to democracy.
We must all, as people of this country, commit to democracy. Democracy as fought for by the men whom we all remember today, Chief MKO Abiola. Our country needs the commitment of each and every one of us to make good of the promises that our founding fathers set in motion in the 1963 Constitution.
From here, members of the Patriots moved to the home of the late MKO Abiola to pay their respects, where they were received by his first daughter.
In the struggle for Nigeria,
Insomuch as no democracy can thrive in an atmosphere of insecurity, making it most antithetical to its practice, the Chief of Defense Staff speaks on the challenges of insecurity as the military rises to the occasion.
We are dealing with asymmetric warfare, which is a new kind of warfare. It's different from the conventional term, and that's what we want to make very clear. Conventional warfare is between country to country. Now, asymmetric warfare, you are dealing with non-state actors, people you don't know, people that are your own. I give you some examples. Sometimes when we go on cordon and search operations, the same village you get in, they hide the weapons, catch them, they don't have anything, and you proceed. And they dig out these weapons and fire you from the rear. It is difficult because you don't even know who is your enemy. Everybody is an enemy. There is no front. Everywhere, is a front as much as possible. Now, the challenges we're having is that understanding. I'm happy that it is changing. And if you see from what the armed forces and the police are doing now, we are being very people-centric in our approach because we understand that asymmetric warfare has to do with the people. It did not start now. It has started since. My advice always is no country should allow asymmetric warfare to commence. It is difficult to eradicate. Why? You are dealing with ideology. And once you have that ideology built in, it's difficult because you see the person, you don't know what he's thinking about. You don't know what is in his mind. We have seen people that we have told them they are still telling us that we are wrong and they are right, as it is. So we need to come together as a country to be able to tackle this, and it should be nipped in the bud for every country, I advise.
And for law enforcement in the nation, capacity building is paramount in defense of the enforcement of the nation's laws.
You can see we are now recruiting and we are now replacing those people. Very soon there will be training of 10,000 policemen. It will be followed by additional 10,000 and then 10,000 again. The president has graciously approved 30,000. That will add value. Again, it's not even issue of number, it's issue of capacity. And the IG had already identified that, and he has given that order. There is 3 days training, 5 days training, 7 days training. As I told you, we identify our local problems, use local solution, we solve it. And that is exactly what we are doing. Issue of funding, issue of lack of manpower, all is by the way. What is it that we are doing now with the manpower that we have? And that is exactly what I told you we are doing, and it's yielding result.
While the state police bill set to be under scrutiny, a polarizing issue.
Parliament is also looking critically at the state police bill. It is something that we are working at seriously to ensure that same is passed as soon as possible. We've had issues. Some states say they don't want state police. Some say they want. There's also a conversation that if you don't want, don't apply. If your state needs state police, apply. So it's not by force. Any state that feels that its state is not well policed, if the density is low, they can apply. But they must meet some stringent conditions before the licenses are granted. The licenses would also come with caveats. It can be revoked, it can be suspended, it may not be renewed if the state uses it in on an unlawful way or it abuses it.
25 years of interrupted civil rule and commemoration of the annual June 12, 1993 presidential election certainly constituted a significant milestone. Happening at a time of economic downturn, the 36th edition of the platform seeks to explore how far the practice of democracy and free market economy has impacted the nation's current experience.
That is a very important point.
The hall is packed with political and religious leaders, as well as businessmen and women. The convener, Senior Pastor, Covenant Nation, welcomes the gathering with the significance of the occasion.
Today represents the day where historically it said Nigeria had its freest and fairest election. And from that struggle of June 12 came the birth of our democracy today. We want to honor all those who gave their lives for this cause. There were people who died fighting to make sure we have this.
The first speaker takes up the free market economy with a compelling analogy.
Bread is an essential part, meaning that in life, if your inability to access what to eat is a major problem and dilemma for people. That's why the national bread can never be enough. It cannot be enough because the bread itself is not enough to share. But when you then have a system that is not a free market economy that allows for demand and supply to happen, that allows for value creation to take place freely without the intervention of somebody somewhere with a piece of paper and a pen, letting these people take a lion's share, of course, they will always get a shorter end of the stick.
For the special advisor to the Lagos State Governor on climate change, in Lagos State, business sustainability is critical in a free market economy.
The interplay between free democracy or free market and democracy is settled within the space of sustainability. I stand and I operate in an industry that is for sustainability, for sustenance, for longevity. So it's important that from our office, the three pillars by which we drive is produce and help you see, help you to navigate where there's opportunities for job, where there's opportunity for market, where there's opportunity to access to wealth as well.
And despite the country's endowment of vast human and natural resources, the chairman editorial board This Day newspapers believes much must be done for the economy.
Most Nigerians have not been availed of their fair share. For all its human and material resources, Nigeria's GDP is still among the lowest in the world. Food inflation, which is currently about 40%, is not only frightening, but also breeds the risk of social, economic, and security turbulence. So while periodic elections are good, if because of the choices we make, most of our citizens still find it difficult to put food on their table, there's a problem.
Besides celebrating freedom from military dictatorship, the various speakers are of the view that true democracy is one of equity and justice.
I told him this in Gege.
Former Speaker, House of Representatives, Yakubu Dogara, spoke on prioritizing national interest.
During my time as Speaker as well, we were exploring the possibility of patronizing innocent mortals. But that time, I think they hadn't advanced to the level they have attained as of today. And I sat also as Speaker and said if I could convince the House to take my decision to patronize Peugeot when I was House Services Chairman, then there's no way I can now go for Camry or some other exotic models. We must buy Peugeot. And the reason was simply to give impetus to the fact that we must not only patronize made in Nigeria goods, we should take pride in what we produce, and that we should sustain the livelihood of the Nigerian workers.
The former Minister of Works and Housing, Babatune Fashola, lent some clarity on the minimum wage, while the cost of governance remains a concern.
The problem, therefore, is not setting the minimum salary, because that's what we are setting. In other countries, once they set minimum wage, it's lock, stock, and barrel. Everybody pays so much per hour. So what the farmer can then do is say, look, you are not going to work 8 hours anymore. I need you to work 3 hours, and I'm going to pay the minimum wage. When you finish, go. So instead of 8 hours, you get more money for working for less hours, and you can do 3-4 jobs to make up the time. Okay? But what we are doing here, we are setting a monthly minimum salary. Unlike the setting of the minimum wage, it doesn't affect salary workers in that sense. But once you raise the minimum wage, now that's where the governors are saying we're having problems. Once you raise to 30, or from 30 to 60, it means that everybody above that must go right to the top, right to permanent secretary. And that's where the problem really lies. So in our rush to put some money in the hands of the most vulnerable, which is important, let us understand that we probably have to decouple this thing in a more holistic way and set so that the people who are running businesses who are likely to be affected can say, look, we are going to pay minimum wage. So if you use the calculation for minimum wage as it is, what you will get is that our minimum wage actually is not 30,000 naira.
It will come down to 10,000.
And Governor of Anambra State, Chukwuma Soludo, speaks on national revenue.
Sometime I wish that we will pay everybody minimum of 1 million. Okay? 2 million, 5 million even. I wish. But the reality is, you bring the numbers and put it on the table. I just said at the best of estimates I can get unless something changes tomorrow, federal government's actual revenue will probably not exceed 17 trillion this year. If you share it to all Nigerians, it comes to 6,160 naira per person per month. That's what it comes out per capita. If you take even the total 28.7 trillion and share, it will come down to 10,000 naira per person per month. I'm talking about per capita. If I take my state, I've told you, if you share every revenue that we got, it comes down to less than 2,500 per person. Now, but this money belongs to all Nigerians.
President Bola Tinubu delivers his Democracy Day address.
I understand the economic difficulties we face as a nation right now. Our economy has been in desperate need of reform for decades. It has been unbalanced because it was built on the flawed foundations and over-reliance on revenue from exploitation of oil. The reforms we have initiated are intended to create a stronger, better foundation for future growth. There is no doubt that the reform has occasioned hardship. I feel your pains. Yet, there are necessary repairs required to fix the economy over the long run so that everyone has access to economic opportunity, fair pay, and compensation for its endeavor and labor. As we continue to reform the economy, I shall always listen to the people and will never turn my back on you. In this spirit, we have negotiated in good faith and with open arms with organized labor on a new national minimum wage. We shall soon send our executive bill to the National Assembly to enshrine what has been agreed upon as part of our law for the next 5 years or less.
Nations know the value of a stable system of government, and if it's democracy, then the importance of playing by the rules. For Special Report, I'm Olumide Macaulay. Thank you for watching.